All right, everybody online, I know that you're waiting, but we're going to get started pretty soon, so just give me just a minute. Okay, thank you.
Hello, good tree. We will now begin our Project Resolute Friday night reading in person. Let us start with a prayer. Dear God, thank you for giving us this day. Even though many of us could not be here today for whatever reason, I pray that to those who are here and joining us online and taking part of this Bible reading together, that you may bless us with the knowledge and the wisdom to help integrate this into our lives and make it meaningful. I pray that through this we will be able to go closer to you and to one another in a time of fellowship. I pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen. Numbers chapter 16. Now Korah, son of Izhar, son of Kohath, son of Levi, with Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab and On, son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took 250 prominent Israelite men who were leaders of the community and representatives in the assembly, and they rebelled against Moses. They came together against Moses and Aaron and told them, "You have gone too far. Everyone in the entire community is holy, and the Lord is among them. Why then do you exalt yourselves above the Lord's assembly?" When Moses heard this, he fell face down. Then he said to Korah and all his followers, "Tomorrow morning the Lord will reveal who belongs to him, who is set apart, and the one he will let come near him. He will let the one he chooses come near him." Korah, you and all your followers are to do this. Take fire pans and tomorrow place fire in them and put incense on them before the Lord. Then the man the Lord chooses will be the one who is set apart. It is you, Levites, who have gone too far. Moses also told Korah, "Now listen, Levites. Isn't it enough for you that the God of Israel has separated you from the Israelite community to bring you near to himself, to perform the work at the Lord's tabernacle, and to stand before the community to minister to them? He has brought you near, and all your fellow Levites who are with you, but you are pursuing the priesthood as well. Therefore, it is you and all your followers who have conspired against the Lord. As for Aaron, who is he, that you should complain about him?" Moses sent for Dathan and Ephraim, the sons of Eliab. But they said, "We will not come. It is not enough that you brought us from a land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness. Do you also have to appoint yourself as ruler over us? Furthermore, you didn't bring us to a land flowing with milk and honey, or give us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you gouge out the eyes of these men? We will not come." Then Moses became angry and said to the Lord, "Don't respect their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them or mistreated a single one of them." So Moses told Korah, "You and all your followers are to appear before the Lord tomorrow, you, they, and Aaron. Each of you is to take his fire pan, place incense on it, and present his fire pan before the Lord. 250 fire pans. You and Aaron are each to present your fire pan also." Each man took his fire pan, placed fire in it, put incense on it, and stood at the entrance to the tent of meeting along with Moses and Aaron. After Korah assembled the whole community against them at the entrance to the tent of meeting, the glory of the Lord appeared to the whole community. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, "Separate yourselves from this community so that I may consume them instantly." But Moses and Aaron fell face down and said, God who gives breath to all, when one man sins, will you vent your wrath on the whole community? The Lord replied to Moses, "Tell the community, get away from the dwellings of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." Moses got up and said to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. He warned the community, "Get away now from the tents of these wicked men. Don't touch anything that belongs to them, or you will be swept away because of all their sins." So they got away from the dwellings of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Meanwhile, Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the entrance of their tents with their wives, children, and infants. Then Moses said, "This is how you will know that the Lord sent me to do all these things, and that it was not of my own will. If these men die naturally, as all people would, and suffer the fate of all, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord brings about something unprecedented, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them along with all that belongs to them, so they will go down alive into Sheol, then you will know that these men have despised the Lord." Just as he finished speaking all these words, the ground beneath them split open. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households, all Korah's people, and all their possessions. They went down alive into Sheol with all that belonged to them. The earth closed over them, and they vanished from the assembly. At their cries, all the people of Israel who were around them fled because they thought, "The earth may swallow us too." Fire also came out of the Lord and consumed the 250 men who were presenting the incense. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, "Tell Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, to remove the fire pans from the burning debris, because they are holy, and scatter the fire far away. As for the fire pans of those who sinned at the cost of their own lives, make them into hammered sheets as plating for the altar. For they presented them before the Lord, and the fire pans are holy. They will be assigned to the Israelites." So the priest Eleazar took the bronze fire pans that those who were burned had presented, and they were hammered into plating for the altar, just as the Lord commanded him through Moses. It was to be a reminder for the Israelites that no unauthorized person outside the lineage of Aaron should approach to offer incense before the Lord and become like Korah and his followers. The next day, the entire Israelite community complained about Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have killed the Lord's people." When the community assembled against them, Moses and Aaron turned toward the tent of meeting, and suddenly the cloud covered it, and the Lord's glory appeared. Moses and Aaron went to the front of the tent of meeting, and the Lord said to Moses, "Get away from this community so that I may consume them instantly." But they fell face down. Then Moses told Aaron, "Take your fire pan, place fire from the altar in it, and add incense. Go quickly to the community and make atonement for them, because wrath has come from the Lord, the plague has begun." So Aaron took his fire pan as Moses had ordered, ran into the middle of the assembly, and saw that the plague had begun among the people. After he added incense, he made atonement for the people. He stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was halted. But those who died from the plague numbered 14,700, in addition to those who died because of the Korah incident. Aaron then returned to Moses at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Since then, since the plague had been halted.
The Lord instructed Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and take one staff from them for each ancestral tribe, 12 staffs from all the leaders of their tribes. Write each man's name on his staff. Write Aaron's name on Levi's staff, because there is to be one staff for the head of each tribe. Then place them in the tent of meeting in front of the testimony where I meet with you. The staff of the man I choose will sprout, and I will rid myself of the Israelites' complaints that they have been making about you." So Moses spoke to the Israelites, and each of their leaders gave him a staff, one for each of the leaders of their tribes, 12 staffs in all. Aaron's staff was among them. Moses placed the staffs before the Lord in the tent of the testimony. The next day Moses entered the tent of the testimony and saw that Aaron's staff, representing the house of Levi, had sprouted, formed buds, blossomed, and produced almonds. Moses then brought out all the staffs from the Lord's presence to all the Israelites. They saw them, and each man took his own staff. The Lord told Moses, "Put Aaron's staff back in front of the testimony to be kept as a sign for the rebels, so that you may put an end to their complaints before me, or else they will die." So Moses did as the Lord commanded him. Then the Israelites declared to Moses, "Look, we're perishing. We're lost. We're all lost. Anyone who comes near the Lord's tabernacle will die. We will all perish."
The Lord said to Aaron, "You, your sons, and your ancestral family will be responsible for iniquity against the sanctuary. You and your sons will be responsible for iniquity involving your priesthood, but also bring your relatives with you from the tribe of Levi, your ancestral tribe, so that they may join you and assist you and your sons in front of the tent of the testimony. They are to perform duties for you and for the whole tent. They must not come near the sanctuary equipment or the altar, otherwise both they and you will die. They are to join you and guard the tent of meeting, doing all the work at the tent, but no unauthorized person may come near you. You are to guard the sanctuary and the altar, so that wrath may not fall on the Israelites again. Look, I have selected your fellow Levites from the Israelites as a gift for you, assigned by the Lord to work at the tent of meeting. But you and your sons will carry out your priestly responsibilities for everything concerning the altar and for what is inside the curtain, and you will do that work. I am giving you the work of the priesthood as a gift, but an unauthorized person who comes near the sanctuary will be put to death." Oh, then the Lord spoke to Aaron, "Look, I have put you in the charge of contributions brought to me. As for all the holy offerings of the Israelites, I have given them to you and your sons as a portion and permanent statute. A portion of the holiest offerings kept from the fire will be yours. Every one of their offerings that they give me, whether the grain offering, sin offering, or guilt offering, will be most holy for you and your sons. You are to eat it as the most holy offering. Every male may eat it. It is to be holy to you. The contribution of their gifts also belongs to you. I have given all the Israelites presentation offerings to you and your sons and daughters as a permanent statute. Every ceremonially clean person in your house may eat it. I am giving you all the best of the fresh oil, new wine, and grain, which the Israelites give to the Lord as their first fruits. The first fruits of all that is in their lands, which they bring to the Lord, belong to you. Every clean person in your house may eat them. Everything in Israel that is permanently dedicated to the Lord belongs to you. The firstborn of every living thing, human or animal, presented to the Lord belongs to you. But you must certainly redeem a human firstborn and redeem the firstborn of an unclean animal. You will pay the redemption price for a month-old male according to your assessment, 5 shekels of silver by the standard sanctuary shekel, which is 20 gerahs. However, you must not redeem the firstborn of an ox, sheep, or a goat. They are holy. You are to splatter their blood on the altar and burn their fat as a food offering for the pleasing aroma to the Lord. But their meat belongs to you. It belongs to you like the breast of the presentation offering and the right thigh. I give to you and your sons and daughters all the holy contributions that Israelites present to the Lord as a permanent statute. It is a permanent covenant of salt before the Lord for you as well as your offspring. The Lord told Aaron, "You will not have an inheritance in their land. There will be no portion among them for you. I am your portion and your inheritance among the Israelites. Look, I have given the Levites every tenth in Israel as an inheritance in return for the work they do, the work of the tent of meeting. The Israelites must never again come near the tent of meeting, or they will incur guilt and die. The Levites will do the work of the tent of meeting, and they will bear the consequences of their iniquity. The Levites will not receive an inheritance among the Israelites. This is a permanent statute throughout your generations. For I have given them the tenth that Israelites present to the Lord as a contribution for their inheritance. That is why I told them they would not receive an inheritance among the Israelites. The Lord instructed Moses, "Speak to the Levites and tell them, when you receive from the Israelites the tenth that I have given you as your inheritance, you are to present the part of it as an offering to the Lord, a tenth of the tenth. Your offering will be credited to you as if it were grain from the threshing floor or the full harvest from the winepress. You are to present an offering to the Lord from every tenth that you receive from the Israelites. Give some of it to the priest Aaron as an offering to the Lord. You must present the entire offering due the Lord from all your gifts. The best part of the tenth is to be consecrated." Tell them further, once you have presented the best part of the tenth, and it is credited to you, Levites, as the produce of the threshing floor or the winepress, then you and your household may eat it anywhere. It is your wage in return for your work at the tent of meeting. You will not incur guilt because of it once you have presented the best part of it, but you must not defile the Israelites' holy offerings so that you will not die.
The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, "This is a legal statute that the Lord has commanded. Instruct the Israelites to bring you an unblemished fed cow that has no defect and has never been yoked. Give it to the priest Eleazar, and he will have brought it outside the camp and slaughtered it in his presence. The priest Eleazar is to take some of its blood with his finger and sprinkle it several times towards the front of the cow of the tent of meeting. The cow is to be burned in his sight. Its hide, flesh, and blood are to be burned along with its race. The priest is to take cedar wood, hyssop, and crimson yarn and throw them onto the fire where the cow is burning. Then the priest must wash his clothes and bathe his body in the water. After that he may enter the camp, but he will remain ceremonially unclean until the evening. The one who burned the cow must also wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and he will remain unclean until the evening. A man who is clean is to gather up the cow's ashes and deposit them outside the camp in a ceremonial clean place. The ashes will be kept by the Israelite community for preparing the water to remove impurity. It is a sin offering. Then the one who gathers up his cow's ashes must wash his clothes, and he will remain unclean until evening. This is a permanent statute for the Israelites and for the aliens who reside among them. The person who touches any human corpse will be unclean for 7 days. He is to purify himself with the water on the third day and the seventh day, and will be clean. But if he does not purify himself on the third and seventh day, he will not be clean. Anyone who touches the body of a person who has died and does not purify themselves defiles the tabernacle of the Lord. The person will be cut off from Israel. He remains unclean because the water for impurity has not been sprinkled on them, and his uncleanliness is still on him. This is the law when a person dies in a tent. Everyone who enters the tent and everyone who is already in the tent will be unclean for 7 days, and any open container without a lid tied on it is unclean. Anyone in the open field who touches a person who has been killed by the sword or has died, or who even touches a human bone or a grave will be unclean for 7 days. For the purification of the unclean person, they are to take some of the ashes of the burnt sin offering, put them in a jar, and add fresh water to them. A person who is clean is to take the hyssop, dip it in the water, and sprinkle the tent, all the furnishings, and the people who were there. He is also to sprinkle the one who touched a bone, a grave, or a corpse, or a person who has been killed. The one who is clean is to sprinkle the unclean person the third day and the seventh day. After he purifies the unclean person on the seventh day, the one being purified must wash his clothes and bathe in water, and he will be clean by evening. But a person who is unclean and does not purify themselves, that person will be cut off from the assembly because he has defiled the sanctuary of the Lord. The water for impurity had not been sprinkled on him. He is unclean. This is a permanent statute for them. The person who sprinkles the water for impurity is to wash his clothes, and whoever touches the water for impurity will be unclean until evening. Anything the unclean person touches will become unclean, and anyone who touches it will be unclean until evening.
The entire Israelite community entered the wilderness of Sin in the first month, and they settled in Kadesh. Maram died and was buried there. There was no water for the community, so they assembled against Moses and Aaron. The people quarreled with Moses and said, "If only we had perished when our brothers perished before the Lord. Why have you brought the Lord assemble into the wilderness for us and your livestock to die here? Why have you led us up for the Egypt to bring us to this evil place? It's not a place of grain, figs, vines, and pomegranates, and there is no water to drink." Then Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the doorway of the tent of the meeting. They fell face down, and the glory of the Lord appeared to them. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Take the staff and assemble the community. You and your brother Aaron are to speak to the rock while they watch, and it will yield its water. You will bring out the water for them from the rock and provide drink for the community and their livestock." So Moses took the staff from the Lord's presence, just as he has commanded him. Moses and Aaron summoned the assembly in front of the rock, and Moses said to them, "Listen, you rebels, must we bring water out of this rock for you?" Then Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with the staff, so that abundant water gushed out, and the community and their livestock drank. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust me to demonstrate my holiness in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this assembly into the land I have given them. These are the waters of Meribah, where the Israelites quarreled with the Lord, and he demonstrated his holiness to them." Moses sent his messengers from Kadesh to king of Edom. This is what your brother Israel said. "You know all the hardship that have overtaken us. Our ancestors went down to Egypt and lived in Egypt many years, but the Egyptians treated us and our ancestors badly. When we cried out to the Lord, he heard our plea and sent an angel, brought us out of Egypt. Now we are in Kadesh, a city on the border of your territory. Please let us travel through your land. We won't travel through any field of vineyard or drink any well water. We will travel the king highway, and we won't turn into the right or the left until we have traveled through your territory." But Edom answered, "You will not travel through our land, or we will come out and confront you with the sword. We will go on the main road." The Israelites replied to them, if we or our herds drink your water, we will pay its price. There will be no problems. Only let us travel through on foot." Yet Edom insisted, "You may not travel through." And they came out to confront them with large force of heavily armed people. Edom refused to allow his Israelites to travel through territory, and Israel turned away from them. After they set from Kadesh, the entire Israelite community came to the Mount Hor. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "At Mount Hor, on the border of the land of Edom, Aaron will be gathered to his people. He will not enter the land I have given the Israelites, because you both rebelled against my command. Water of Meribah, take Aaron and his son Eleazar and bring them up to Mount Hor. Remove Aaron's garments and put them on his son Eleazar. Aaron will be gathered to his people and die there. So Moses did as the Lord commanded, and they climbed Mount Hor in the sight of the whole community. After Moses removed Aaron's garments and put them on on his son Eleazar, Aaron died there on top of the mountain. Then Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain, where the whole community saw that Aaron had passed away. The whole entire house of Israel mourned for him 30 days.
When the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in Ne- wait, Negev, heard that Israel was coming on the Atharim road, he fought against Israel and captured some prisoners. When Israel made a vow to the Lord, if you will hand this people over to us, we will completely destroy their cities. The Lord listened to Israel's request and handed the Canaanites over to them. And Israel completely destroyed them and their cities. So they named the place Hormah. They set out from Mount Hor by way of the Red Sea to bypass the land of Edom. The people became impatient because the journey. The people spoke against God and Moses. Why have you led us up from Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread, no food, and we detest this wretched food. Then the Lord set poisonous snakes among the people, and they bit them so that many Israelites died. The people then came to Moses and said, "They have sinned by speaking against the Lord and against you. Intercede with the Lord so that he will take the snakes away from us." And Moses interceded for the people. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Make a snake image and mount it to a pole. When anyone who is bitten looks at it, he will recover." So Moses made a bronze snake and mounted it to a pole. Whenever someone was bitten and he looked at the bronze snake, he recovered. The Israelites set out and camped to Oboth. Oboth. They set out from Oboth and camped at Abraham in the wilderness. The borders Moab on the east. From there they went and camped at Zered Valley. They set out from there and camped on the other side of Aron River in the wilderness. They extends from the Amorite border because the Aaron was the Moabite border between Moab and Amorites. Therefore, it is stated in the book of the Lord's wars, we have in Sapha and the Revenites of Aaron, even the slopes of the Revenites that extend to the site of Ar and lie along the border of Moab. From there they went to Beer, the well the Lord told Moses about. Gather the people so I may give them water. Then Israel sang this song. Spirit up well, sing to it. The princes dug the well. The nobles of the people hollowed it out with a scepter and their staffs. They went to the wilderness of Mattanah, and from Mattanah to Nathaniel, from Nahal to Bomoth, from Bomoth to the valley in the territory of Moab, near the Pisgah highlands. They overtook the wasteland. Israel sent messengers to say, King Sihon and Amorites, let us travel through your land. We won't go through the fields or vineyards. We won't drink any well water. We will travel the king's highway until we travel through your territory. But Sihon would not let Israel travel through his territory. Instead, he gathered his whole army and went out and confronted Israel in the wilderness. When he came to Jahaz, he found against Israel. Israel struck him with a sword and took possession of his land. And the Aaron of the Jabbok, but only to the Ammonite border, because it was fortified. Israel took all the cities and lived in the Amorite cities, including Heshbon and its surrounding villages. Heshbon was the city of King Sihon of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab and had taken control of all his land as far as the Aaron. Therefore, the poets say, come to Heshbon, let us rebuild. Let it be rebuilt. Let the city of Sihon be restored, for the fire came out of Heshbon. The flame of the city of Sihon, it consumed Ar and Moab. The citizens of Aaron's heights, woe to you, Moab. You have been destroyed, people of Keshmosh. He gave up his sons and refugees, and his daughters of captivity to Sihon, the Amorite king. We threw them down. Heshbon has been destroyed as far as Dibon. We caused desolation as far as Nopah, which reaches as far as Medeblah. So Israel lived in the Amorites' land after Moses sent spies to Jazer. Israel captured its surrounding villages and drove out the Amorites who lived there. Then they turned and went up the road to Bashan. The king Og of Bashan came out against them with his whole army to do a battle at Aduri. When the Lord said to Moses, do not fear him, for I have handed over to you among with the whole army and his land. Do not do to him as you do to King Sihon and Amorites who lived in Heshbon. They struck him his sons, his whole army, until no one was left, and they possessed of his land.
Chapter 22. The Israelites traveled on and camped in the plains of Moab near the Jordan across the across from Jericho. Now Balak, son of Zippor, saw that Israel had done to the Amorites. Moab was terrified of the people because they were numerous, and Moab dreaded the Israelites. So the Moabites said to the elders of Midian, "This horde will devour everything around us like an ox eats up the green plants in the field." Since Balak, son of Zippor, was Moab's king at the time, he sent messengers to Balaam, son of Beor, at Pethor, which is by the Euphrates in the land of his people. Balak said to him, "Look, a people has come out of Egypt. They cover the surface of the land and are living right across from me. Please come and put a curse on these people for me, because they are more powerful than I am. I may be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land, for I know that those you bless are blessed, and those you curse are cursed." The elders of Moab and Midian departed with fees for divination in hand. They came to Balaam and reported Balak's words to him. He said to them, "Spend the night here, and I will give you the answer the Lord tells me." So the officials of Moab stayed with Balaam. Then God came to Balaam and asked, "Who are these men with you?" Balaam replied to God, "Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, sent this message to me. Look, a people has come out of Egypt, and they cover the surface of the land. Now come and put a curse on them for me. I may be able to fight against them and drive them away." Then God said to Balaam, "You are not to go with them. You are not to curse this people, for they are blessed." So Balaam got up the next morning and said to Balak's officials, "Go back to your land, because the Lord has refused to let me go with you." The officials of Moab arose, returned to Balak, and reported, "Balaam refused to come with us." Balak sent officials again, who were more numerous and higher in rank than the others. They came to Balaam and said to him, "This is what Balak, son of Zippor, says. Let nothing keep you from coming to me, for I will greatly honor you and do whatever you ask me. So please come and put a curse on these people for me." But Balaam responded to the servants of Balak, "If Balak were to give his house full of silver and gold, I could not go against the command of the Lord my God to do anything small or great. Please stay here overnight as the others did, so that I may find out what else the Lord has to tell me." God came to Balaam at night and said to him, "Since these men have come to summon you, get up and go with them, but you must only do what I tell you." When he got up in the morning, Balaam saddled his donkey and went with the officials of Moab. But God was incensed that Balaam was going, and the angel of the Lord took his stand on the path to oppose him. Balaam was riding his donkey, and his 2 servants were with him. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing on the path with a drawn sword in his hand, she turned off the path and went into the field. So Balaam hit her to return her to the path. Then the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow passage between the vineyards, with a stone wall on either side. The donkey saw the angel of the Lord and pressed herself against the wall, squeezing Balaam's foot against it. So he hit her once again. The angel of the Lord went ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn to the right or to the left. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she crouched down under Balaam. So he became furious and beat the donkey with his stick. Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and she asked Balaam, "What have I done to you that you have beaten me these 3 times?" Balaam answered the donkey, "You have made me look like a fool. If I had a sword in my hand, I'd kill you now." But the donkey said, "Am I not the donkey you've ridden all your life until today? Have I ever treated you this way before?" "No," he replied. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the path with a drawn sword in his hand. Balaam knelt low and bowed in worship on his face. The angel of the Lord asked him, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? Look, I came out to oppose you because I consider what you are doing to be evil. The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If she had not turned away from me, I would have killed you by now and let her live." Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, "I have sinned, for I did not know you were standing in the path to confront me. And now it is evil in your sight. I will go back." Then the angel of the Lord said to Balaam, "Go with the men, but you are to say only what I tell you." So Balaam went with Balak's officials. When Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went out to meet him at Moabite city on the Arnon border at the edge of his territory. Balak asked Balaam, "Didn't I send you an urgent summons? Why didn't you come to me? Am I really not able to reward you?" Balaam said to him, "Look, I have come to you, but can I say anything I want? I must speak only the message God puts in my mouth." So Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Kiriath Huzoth. Balak sacrificed cattle, sheep, and goats and sent for Balaam and the officials who were with him. In the morning, Balak took Balaam and brought him to Bamoth Baal. From there, he saw the outskirts of the people's camp. Amen.
All right. Some of the names are kind of hard, right? Yeah. So you guys did a great job reading today. Appreciate you guys taking part in this reading. For everybody who's here and who's online, I want to remind you to fill this out and check all the days that you read. Make sure it's complete. Write your name on this and submit to me by either by Friday, next Friday, the 27th, or the following Sunday. So when I receive this, I'll know that you have completed it. Be truthful, and then you'll receive a certificate and a small gift for participating in this. And next Friday is the final party. And I did ask, yeah? Oh, yeah, okay, oh, great job. I did ask the PTA to prepare 30 people's worth of food, 30 servings of food. So today we only have 10 people here, 11 including myself. So I want to tell everybody who's participating in this reading, just come out next Friday. We'll read together, we'll finish together, and we'll have a party for finishing this reading together. Just wanted to let you know that the first 5 books of the Bible is really difficult. It's a really difficult read, but we have to get through it one time in our lives. Once you go through it once, going through again is not that difficult. Okay. After this, whenever we do this reading again, starts Joshua. So just wanted to give you like a devotional point or my thought on this whole thing. So Moses worked really hard to lead this group of I don't know what you call them. There's just a terrible group of people, right? They're unfaithful. They complained constantly. They tested God. They rebelled against God. Rebelled against Moses, and then Moses did his best, right? He tried so hard to remain calm and composed, and he made that one mistake in chapter 20. And it wasn't like he rebelled against God. He just said a few words wrong, and he hit that rock. So many people think, why is God so harsh on Moses when he made that one mistake? I mean, he worked so hard to enter the promised land. Why won't God let him do that just because of that one mistake? Why is God punishing Moses? But if you really think about it, is promised land the final destination for us? Do you think it was final destination for Moses? I think the grace of God was on him, and he used that mistake to end Moses' journey there. But I believe it was God's grace because a couple things. The true promised land is with God anyway. The land that he's going to walk into, although may look better than the wilderness, but still not better than where he's going to be with God. Okay, so he took him early. Also, second, it's just my thought on this is that Moses was so tired, right? He was done, physically, mentally, and then just think about it. Like the more he would go with the Israelites, the more he's going to be tested, and eventually, maybe because he's a human being, he might have like crumbled on because of the pressure, right? He may have been gotten like corrupted because of the power, and if he was successfully cross over to the promised land, he may have gotten corrupted. I don't know. We don't know that. We can't tell what didn't happen. But I think God taking him away from that environment was God's grace upon him, His mercy upon him to end his life there. And where he, went, where he is now, infinitely better than the promised land. Anyway, So it wasn't so much of a punishment. It came along as a punishment, but I think it was the grace of God. Our death is not a tragic thing, you know. It's 'cause when we physically end our lives here, we'll be in heaven with Jesus. So much better, right? So anyway, that was one of my devotional points as I was reading this Numbers chapter 20. Okay, so make sure you guys follow along. I'll see you guys tomorrow here at tomorrow on Zoom at 8. I want to let you know that this Sunday is a missions week, and for missions week, we're going to present to you about some things about the mission trip. Maybe give you a little bit of a plans, because I'm going to be talking to your parents about the schedule and everything. So I'll talk to you guys a little bit about missions this Sunday during worship. But Sunday is a missions week. We have decided, right, Joe, to raise $2,000. Okay, we're gonna raise $2,000 as a youth group. Okay, so we have about $500 collected so far, and we have January, February, March, April, and May. We have 5 months to raise the rest of the $1,500 or more. So make sure you guys are faithful in giving. The $2,000 that we will collect will be used to buy uniforms for the Joy preschool that we supported last year during the summer. We went and we painted everything inside, right? You remember that, guys? We painted everything. We supplied them with school supplies, and we also gave them uniforms and stuff like that too. So this year, with the missions offering, we're going to buy just a whole bunch of school uniforms for them to take with us. So you'll be taking part in giving, supplying what they need in Dominican Republic. Okay, so make sure to bring your missions offering. Joe, if you want to remind me tomorrow again to make another announcement during our Zoom meeting. Okay, if you're going to be there. Okay, all right. Thank you for reading. Let me pray and we'll finish. Father, we thank you so much for your love and your faithfulness. You're leading us, Lord. We do have a lot of questions about all these things that happened throughout the old ancient history of Israel, especially today when Moses was told that he was not going to be allowed into the promised land. Lord, we pray that even the things that seems like it's a tragic thing for us, there's your grace and mercy working behind of it, and knowing that Moses, even if he couldn't enter the promised land and couldn't finish the work he started, the next generation finished the project. The next generation finished the work and entered into the promised land. And Moses, even if he died at Mount Nebo, he still ended up with you, which is a true promised land in heaven. So I pray that we see the things that are beyond what we can see, and understand that you're always merciful and you're always gracious to us. So no matter how hard our circumstances might be, no matter how much it seems like things aren't going well for us, help us to believe that behind all that, there's your grace and your mercy upon our lives, Lord God. So we thank you and praise in Jesus Christ's name. Amen. Bye.